G'day guys, Rich Hunkford here from Bushel, Australia. We've got Mick here at the moment. We're just going to have a talk to Mick. Mick's just finished our wilderness survival basic course, and then we've put him up in a camp area to practice his skills for an extra couple of days. So he's been on site here for about four days now, beyond the course, and he's going to actually take us through some of the stuff he's been doing on site at his camp to make life a bit more comfortable. I'll head towards Mick now. We'll just have a chat to Mick. And everyone, this is Mick.
G'day guys.
Okay Mick, just give us a tour of Mick's place.
Well, I started this shelter 4 days ago, I think. Spent the first day just building this basic roof, and then day 2 and 3 I spent putting in the edges on either end and getting those up. Also got a heap of bamboo, so spent a fair bit of time crafting stuff out of bamboo over the last couple of days, making hanging hooks, canteens, some shelves and dishes and bowls and stuff like that. Also made the fire the first night and put a reflective barrier in and had to upgrade that. Also needed a bit of a table to put stuff on, so built the table the second day and locked it in with a bit of bamboo, which is very handy, and made a little fork stick with a bass for putting the billy on to cook over the fire. Developed a couple of flat rocks for cooking on with the canteen cup cooker, and also for just having an extra little table. And yeah, that's about it really.
Tell us about your sink, mate. That's pretty impressive.
The sink. Cut a piece of bamboo in half and made a bit of a hole in the tree so that I could wedge it in, and then got a fork stick, nice and green, buried it in the ground, and then instead of wasting on cordage, put a couple of holes in some bamboo, carved those to a point, and basically fits on there, and then because it's green it springs in, and that's enough to lock the bamboo in there. But then when you've finished washing the dishes or whatever, you can empty it out and then put it straight back in.
Very neat. And you obviously got yourself a drying rack there, mate, for your clothes. And I noticed you've taken them down now so everyone doesn't see your underwear, but I noticed that you had sort of clothes hangers made up to dry and air your clothing as well.
Yeah, found that really useful, especially being able to have a little patio on the shelter so that you can actually have the clothes hanging underneath the patio at the front to keep the weather off, but still nice and dry.
Brilliant. And you've made a lot of small implements over here, a couple of spoons that you've coal burned and carved out.
Yeah.
A couple of works in progress, I see.
Made a small green spoon which is not finished yet, another spoon from bamboo which I burned out with coal, a pair of tongs that I've made there as well, just using a stick. Also utilised a lot of other sticks for little hanging hooks, so that things can be hung up. It seems to be forever useful.
So you've got a neat camper's a happy camp approach, mate.
That's right.
And your water containers?
I did 2 different types here. These 2 are just pieces of bamboo which I had some old wine corks which have good water in. All I did was carve that out with a knife and then carved the cork to fit, and they work quite well. Another one I did where I actually cut the thing in half, whittled down a green branch so that it would fit in there and just kind of hold it together All three are waterproof. This one I just put the cork on the side to try it as opposed to in the end. Also made a little wooden mallet to use for knocking stakes in, as well as a bit of cordage and getting rocks from down at the creek, some flat rocks for plates. Also going to try putting that over the fire and cooking over it to see if that works. Found that one which seemed to fit well to be able to use for grindstone, which I'm slowly grinding out so that I can process seeds and all that kind of stuff to make wheat flour. The bamboo's been really good. It's been able to make little containers like this one, where I can put my arrows in there and having a bit on top where I can put the fire bow stuff, so my rod's there.
And you've had some ongoing development, experiment, and research development activity with your bed, I believe, mate.
Yes, it's moved around a fair bit, trying to get the angle right of getting it nice and flat without having to roll out, wanting to roll out all the time. And I've put a log there to hold the grass in, and I've moved that about 3 or 4 times to allow me to come a little bit further away from the edge so I don't keep hitting my head on the roof by being too far at the back. But it's coming there. Also,
so Mick, one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you is you've come up with some pretty innovative little ideas with the time you've had to sit around the campfire, and I think you're about to tell us about one now, which is, I don't know what we'd really call it. Is it like a night safe for your hearing aid or something?
When I take my hearing aids out and stuff out of my pockets, and the torch, I want to keep it nearby and close so that it's safe, and so that in the night if I need to grab it I can just pull the top off and reef it out. Also if the shelter leaks, stuff that I want to stay dry goes in there. I've also made another shelf here which I've just sat on a couple of pegs and just put a bit of paracord underneath to hold them in, and carved another piece to go over the top, again so that if there's stuff I want to keep dry, if it does get torrential and the shelter doesn't work as well as I'm hoping, that will at least keep things a bit dry. Also made a little container for holding stakes and stuff like that in. And the next project is to clean this up a bit so I can use that for a bowl or a plate, so that we're using as much natural stuff as possible.
Brilliant. So the obvious lesson there that you seem to have really honed in on is there's constantly things that are happening all the time. You're constantly doing little things, you're making stuff, you're thinking about stuff. You seem to be very much living here in this little camp right now, and I think that's pretty well the epitome of what we're trying to teach here. How do you think everything else has gone in terms of, have you enjoyed the experience?
Loved it. It's been, you hear people say it all the time, but it really has been one of the best things I've ever done, and it really has changed my view of life, and changed instead of relying on everybody else to do everything and just being one more consuming everything. Here I'm learning how to make things happen myself and rely on my own intuition, my own imagination and my own ideas, and realising that, you know, I can do all this stuff. All I've got to do is take the time and think about it, and there's really, you know, I can do most things out here by myself with in primitive conditions with very few tools. It doesn't have to be pretty, but it has to work, and yeah, been learning how to make it work.
Brilliant. Well, thanks Mick. We'll let you get back to the next project, and we will catch you guys next time. Thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks for your support, and Happy wandering. Cheers.